on in the background. Well, welcome. I wanted to come in and start this video here because I've had some questions about, can you use the flipped classroom model with the 5E model? And my answer is yes, of course. And actually, it is perfect to help add more inquiry and extension with it. So if you stick by, watch this video, I'm going to give you some tips and strategies of how I incorporate the flipped classroom model into the 5E model. And also, I have a special thing at the very end for you that's going to help you use more of or get more guidance on using the 5E model instruction in your classroom. All right. So remember, the 5E model is designed to have students do more inquiry. It's where instead of them just getting the information and practicing with it, they are coming up with their own ideas. That's the whole goal, is for them to start thinking about what is going on in the world around them. What are some ideas? What are they seeing? Then you give them that information to clarify any misconceptions, to give them the proper vocabulary terms, and then they go even deeper with their understanding, with taking what they've learned, everything, incorporating it, and going beyond. So that's why I love the 5E model. Previous videos, I gave an overview of all the 5 different parts of the 5E model. And then I talked about phenomenon and hook and really how it's not that scary, how you can take simple demonstrations and just get your students thinking about and excited about the topic. I then went into how you can do the explore phases and incorporate science stations and do inquiry investigations and take the labs that you already have them ready to go, but then just tweak them a little bit so that instead of them being more where they're taking the information they already know and applying it, now they're more in a discovery mode. And that leads us into now the explain phase. And that's where the flipped classroom model comes in. You see, in the explain phase, that's when the students should be coming together and sharing their ideas of their understanding of what they learned so far. And it's important that you have them do that first before you give them the information. You want them to share their ideas, share their understandings, share their definitions of what these words, these concepts are, describing what they're seeing and their ideas of what's happening. That way, you can see where the misconceptions are happening and you can then clarify. You could also take that time and opportunity then to also provide them with the correct terminology so that way they can put words to their understanding. I have them do the flipped classroom model during this time. So after they have shared their ideas, they then go home and learn about the topic. They get that key vocabulary. And by having them do the flipped model, they're learning all that at home. It frees up even more time in my classroom for me to really hone in on those students that seem to really be out there in left field and have completely missed the mark of what they should be exploring. It also helps me get other students caught up if they had to miss class for whatever reason and they've missed a few days. I can help them get caught up. And I can take those students that seem to really have a good grasp of the understanding and lead them to new ways of looking at it or combining it with real world experiences. So they go home, they watch the video. I usually have them take focus notes on it, and they take a short quiz, 5 to 10 minutes long, and that's it. Then they come back in class, and in class, that's when I have them share their notes. So at this point, we're a little bit more past the quarter of the way into the year. I've done 9 flipped lessons with my students by now. So I no longer show them my notes. Instead, I will go around and choose a few students' notes that I feel really did a good job of capturing just the key information. They didn't write everything down, they didn't miss anything, and they have nice, clear notes for students to follow. and I'll use those as examples. So at this point in time, I'm using students' notes as my examples, but I have them talk about what they wrote down, the key information, what their ideas of their own words. They then write their synthesis statements for the different chunks. They write their summary, their question, because I want them to go back into their notes a second time. It's important for them to, you know, touch those notes, as they say, more than one time, to look at those notes more than one time. It's not about just taking those notes and then forgetting about them. It's about going back to those notes, now using those notes. Then in class, after that flipped lesson, they've gone over the notes. Now we're into the elaborate phase. So now I have more time because, again, taking out time for the lecturing, which could take a whole class period or half a class period to get the notes, depending on your students and how well they get that information. I know with the flipped classroom model, they're all coming in. They all have the notes. No one has missed anything. They were able to move at their own pace, which is wonderful and amazing. They could rewatch that video. But now we can go into the elaborate phase. Everyone has that basic understanding now. So they've developed their ideas. They now have that key understanding. Everything's been clarified. And now they can move on to the elaborate phase. So again, the flipped classroom model is perfect to add to your 5E model if you really want to have more time in your classroom to do inquiry, to go into the elaborate phase, to help those students that need that extra support. You could work with them individually while other students are moving on into the elaborate phase. Maybe those students just need a little bit more extra time in the explain phase. And that's where that differentiation comes in. So again, the flipped classroom model really works well for the 5E model. So how can I help you now? What I have for you is a free guide to the 5E model. And it's going to take you through all the different steps, the importance of it, what the students should be doing, what the teacher's role is, and how to create a lesson plan that will give you a full 5E unit. And I show you an example of one of my lesson plans that you can see how I take all the stuff that I've done and then tag it as either an explore, an explain, elaborate, evaluate. Which ones can I group together to give maybe choice? Because student choice gives them more empowerment. And we know that students who feel more empowered, who feel like that they are more invested, they do well, they do better in your class, and they, perform better in school, right? So it takes you through all of that. And you can get that 5E model in a link in the comments below. And then you can also get it at the end at the top there. There should be a link for it. Have a wonderful day.